But let's get back to this at some point and say hi. Look, there's Tim. Health gauge. Everybody's got the health gauge, man. It's the health gauge, man. Look at you. And by the way, what you people don't know is Moose Jaw Boy here is standing up. He's that guy. He's the what do you call that? A standing desk?
A standing desk. You know, I haven't sat for 2 years now, and the first month was hell, and since then I don't even know where my chair is anymore.
Tim and I were talking about this. We were talking about this recently when we had our little Moose Jaw calls, which is every couple of weeks. Tim and I now get together and talk, old, Moose Jaw bullshit. But you were saying like there's an article, and I think a lot of people are they equate sitting is as bad for you as smoking.
It is, which is crazy, isn't it? I'm a guy who's on the squash court for an hour each day or more. And then I discovered that, sitting behind my desk for the other 8 hours actually negates any benefit that I got from being on the squash court. And I just said, this is insanity. And so, I bought myself a little, extendable desk. It looks more like one of, a TV table from the 1970s. And I sat it on top of my regular desk. So it was like an $80 hack to upgrade to the standing desk. Threw my chair away. And for 2 years now, I haven't sat down, and it's incredible. Like I said, for the first month, I was going through hell. It was like a heroin addict going through withdrawal. I was suffering, man. I gotta sit down. And after that, I just never even thought of it again. And it's it's been like that for like 2 years now. So it's great. I love it.
I was doing some reading last week about kidneys and kidney disease and everything because someone in the family suffers with that, and they said one of the contributors to kidney disease is a lifetime of sitting too much. That was actually on the list. Yes, interesting. So this sitting thing, we might want to think about it.
Well, I was going to say, you and I, considering I basically sit down here from about 6 a.m. until 9:30 or so, and that's the end of my sitting really for the day. But you're talking about, Tim, most people listening will have jobs where they're sitting for 8 or 9 or 10 hours a day.
Yeah, exactly. And so at the very least, if you're in a situation, a setting where, you need to sit, okay, that's great. One of the little perks of something like this is that it'll send you this reminder every 15 minutes, time to get up and stretch. And that's all, even that amount of movement is a, tremendous benefit if you have to be sitting behind a desk. And, some people are just in that sort of occupation where they don't have a choice, but if you do, at least have something like this that'll send you a reminder and get you up and do a few stretches and bends every 15 minutes.
By the way, mine's on the charger. I charge mine before I get active in the day because I'm really obsessed with my steps and my my heart rate. I check that all the time. And it's really cool because my steps is set at 8,000.
Yeah,
I thought for a guy my age and everything, and it's really cool, when I hit 8,000, which is more often than I thought I would, and the little trophy shows up on the thing and it vibrates and lets me know I'm there. Hooray. Although I had a couple of days last week where I had 11 and 13, which is good for me, and I wasn't even walking on a golf course, but it's really cool from that standpoint too, because you can set certain goals and then you're notified when you reach them, which is a pretty cool payoff.
I wanted to revisit.
It seems childish, but you're right. You get this little trophy pops up, and I'm so proud of myself because I got this little trophy.
What is yours? Is yours set at 50,000 a day or something?
Oh yeah, that's right.
So mine's in 2 basic shifts. My every day, just, surviving life in Europe. I do 10,000 steps a day, going to the store to buy milk, taking out the garbage, you put on 10,000 steps. And then I go out for a run each day, and I'll put on another about 14, 15,000 steps.
So let's review. 10,000
Yes.
steps. He goes for a run. He plays squash every day. He stands up because he's cool. But I wanted to revisit something you said about TV tables and dinners in the 70s. Because we grew up, Tim and I grew up a few blocks away from each other. I got to tell you, for me as a kid, because in those days, unlike our children who like go out for dinner all the time and order in and all this stuff, for me and the Glassman family on Henry Street, we almost never went out for dinner. But once in a while, we got to have dinner. Swanson's. We had a TV dinner on the TV table in front of the TV, and to me, that was mind-blowing.
Yeah. Oh, and it was a special treat if it was like hockey night in Canada with Howie Meeker. Oh, then I was in heaven.
And I loved the Salisbury steak. Like, people laugh at that, but what was that all about? But I loved it. It was like this weird spongy.
It was spongy.
It was spam.
The only thing I'll tell you, the only thing they had everything down. The peas, they had the food. Like my favorite was the chicken, but they couldn't that applesauce, whatever that was. It was no good because it was hot. It was hot. It just didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, it would burn your mouth. One other thing I'll say about the health gauge too, interesting. It notifies you too in your body temperature. Like if I'm sitting in the sun, right, and then I go too far above 98.6 or your body temperature, it alerts you that, hey, it might be time to get out of the sun for a second. Which
I'll tell you, absolutely. This time of year, I'm not sure what the weather's like.
Hot as hell
in your neck of the woods right now, but here we're into the heat of it. Where every day it's 34, 35, 36. Every day, and then we'll go through a week stretch where it hits 45, and you got to be really careful, and if you're at all prone to, let's say, having high blood pressure, hypertension, a lot of times it'll go unnoticed, and when you're out in this heat, of course, it's raising your blood pressure, and you're not aware of it, and so the health gauge will give you that that visual warning that, hey, maybe it's time to get in the shade a little bit, or like you said, Fred, your skin temperature, heat stroke comes about because we're not perspiring enough, we're not getting rid of that built up heat, and our heart starts to fluctuate and our skin temperature rises. The health gauge will give you that warning and tell you, it's time to sit down, it's time to get in the shade, it's time to grab one of these iced teas and relax a little bit. You don't intuitively necessarily feel that that's happening. Sure, you feel you're hot, but you don't feel like you're getting into that danger zone at all. Well, the health gauge will give you that pre-warning. So
and by the way, right now, if you go to healthgauge.com, and I don't have the exact, I think until at least the end of July, we're going to give you 15% off the watch. Just put in promo code HumbleFredHG. That's HumbleFredHG at healthgauge.com for 15 points off. I was talking a little bit before you came on, Tim, about a recent golf tournament that I won, and I said one of the things that I like about competition is you get a sort of chance to see how you'll show up, when things count. And you mentioned squash. And I wonder, is it the same in a sport like squash where, you've got a big match coming up and you get a bit nervous, but you're able to, I mean, golf is such a weird sport because it's hard to get rid of that energy. Whereas something like hockey, I remember being nervous before a hockey game, but as soon as the first shift's over, you're kind of into it. Is squash the same? Like you I'm assuming you're like an A level or a B level player.
Yeah, an A level, and it is like that where you can very quickly dispel this built up energy, but it has to be in a controlled fashion because squash is all about the endurance. You know, the points go longer and longer and longer, and so you want to really control that energy level and not not throw it all out there on the court in your first couple of points and leave yourself out of gas. So having that restraint is it's a fine balance.
So at your squash club, do you guys have championships and matches and things? And
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. There's only one squash club here in town, which kind of sucks, but there's enough good players. There's about a dozen players that play at an A or B level. So there's enough that I can get a different, match in with a different opponent for 2 weeks straight, and then start the rotation again. So it's great.
Back in my younger years, I used to play a lot of racquetball. I know that's not squash, similar but different, but they are wonderful sports for working the whole body. They just are.
Yeah, exactly. And I got to tell you that I will never push myself, out for a run or on my bike or whatever. I'll never push myself like my opponent will push me on the squash court.
Yeah.
I mean, what am I, an idiot? If I'm out running and I get tired, I stop. That's what a sensible human does. Yeah. But when you get into the middle of a competition, you lose all that, and now it's all about that competition.
Well, hey, so, Fred, you don't remember when we first started working together? We used to go down to the Brampton
racket club. Yeah,
racket club, and we played racquetball with each other a few times after the show. And I had never played squash. Then I left working with Fred for a while, and I went to work at a place where everyone played squash. And once I started playing squash, I never went back to racquetball. But I wonder, is squash one of those sports for older guys? Like, they say a lot of guys hadn't played hockey in 20 years. They get out for the first time. They cack because they still think they're a kid. Like, I wonder with squash, back to your point about the competitive nature, you have to be careful, I think, because that's a whole other cardio that I wouldn't be used to.
Yeah, so number one, you don't use squash as your conditioning sport. You get into shape before you get on the squash court. Okay. But I got to tell you, I know more fit 80-year-olds on the squash court than with any other sport. If you want to maintain your fitness level, for a lifetime, the squash court will do it for you.
This new phenomenon, and I'm going to look into it because I think you can sort of condition yourself while playing as pickleball. I mean, for older guys that, and you're right, like even racquetball, I wouldn't, if somebody said, hey, let's go play racquetball today for the first time in 30 years, I'd be afraid of pulling muscle stretch, like really injuring, really injuring myself. But apparently this pickleball thing for a guy in his 60s that hasn't been that super active, it's a good way to sort of work into a conditioning thing.
That's fine. The reason why diets don't work, I mean, anybody can lose weight. I can lock anybody in a closet and feed them bread and water for a couple months, and they're going to lose weight. But the problem
in a lot of countries, that's not legal, though, Tim. Just so
exactly. Hey, here in Italy,
maybe in Florence, that's cool, but.
But the problem is that it's not modifying lifestyle, and you go back to your old habits that made you fat to begin with, and so the whole point is that if you're going to take up an activity but not enjoy it, well, you're not going to keep it up, and so it's all about the having fun, of course a little bit of competition and so on, but first and foremost, if it's not something that you look forward to doing on a daily basis, well, you're going to stop because we're not idiots. We don't torture ourselves. We stop.
And that's why, like, I've never been a workout guy because when you think, oh, I got to work out today, and you have that negative feeling, but you need something like golf or squash where your mind leaves the work and focuses on sort of the entertainment or the competition. I mean, really, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, you bet, you got to find something that like Howard, where it's your passion, where you can't wait to get out on the course or on the court.
Well, and also, like I was going to say,
it's what you live and breathe for.
I do a small workout. I mean, like 15 or 20 minutes almost every day for golf. That's why I'm doing it. I'm trying to maintain whatever strength that I still have. Tim Daniels in Florence, Italy. Thank you for your time today. Healthgauge.com. 15 points off at checkout when you buy this watch, which, as we've said, does so many things. You can set your health goals, blood pressure, activity levels, and so forth. Find out more at healthgauge.com. Promo code HUMBLE, Fred, HG, and TD will, you and I will talk soon, and we'll have you back. We're going to be away next week, but I'll send you a note.
Sounds great, guys.
Thanks,
Take
Timmy.
care. Stay in the shade.
Yeah,
Talk
you
to
too,
soon.
brother. Take care. That's Tim.
Yeah.